Okay, classic. My name is Henry, and I did a poetry reading at Kaya, but it wasn't just me. It was a bunch of other people. Eva Anderson and Bridget Deepstra were one of them. And here we go. My passion is writing. As soon as Mr. Schimborn talked about having a passion and pursuing it, I thought of writing. And if you ask a writer, do they want to be heard? Yeah, they do. So I thought, why don't I collab with writers and try to make something good? I mean, it's from my community and I want to give back to them, so. My big question was, how many poets want but can't find a place to express their writing? Turns out there was a lot. I also did poetry reading at Kaya, and, well, yeah, I already said that. But, here's one of the recordings that was taken by Megan Stinson, and this is of Bridget Deepstra. She's doing a spoken word poem.
This one has a title. It's called The Little Engine That Could, but that's probably copyrighted. So we're just gonna pretend. Okay. I'm sick. I'm sick and I'm tired of you waiting the opportunities. Right there, that's not. You reminding me of all the things I can't do. Waiting the opportunities right there in my face. Like front row tickets to a new game and meet and greet. Before you remind me that I can't afford your travel. I'm sick. I'm sick and I'm tired of every time I mention someone's cute, you tell me to give up because there's just no way. And before the words can even leave my lips to illustrate my intentions, you remind me that they're an asshole, that they're taken, that you don't want me to get hurt. I'm sick. I'm sick and I'm tired of you always looking out for me. I can't leap for things because you're afraid I'll fall. I can't hope for things because you're afraid I'll get crushed. And I can't fancy someone without you thinking I'll be smitten and that you'll have to pick up my shattered pieces. I'm sick. I'm sick and I'm tired of you not letting me fail because I'm going to eventually. It was only a matter of when. And yeah, I want to achieve my dreams and hell, I won't be perfect. And yeah, maybe he won't fancy me too. But so what? Just let me have this moment. Well, I think I can. Hence the title.
Yeah. As you can, well, you might be able to hear, there was a lot of people there. Came up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it turned out to be way better than I expected. I didn't even expect those people to be there. Really, how I prepared was in not a very good way. I told people about it who I thought were writers who wanted to get their word out. I kind of spoke to people from Miss Fowle's creative writing class. I spoke to the novel class in hopes that somebody would come, but I had my expectations really low because if I got them really high, then I might have been disappointed. So I made Facebook events and I made one flyer the day before. Not a very good idea. But yeah, I was a little nerve-wracked because first they call me and they tell me, okay, May 14th, Wednesday. And I'm like, that sounds great, I'll be able to make it. And they call me back, this lady's a little snooty, and she's like, oh, April 30th, now you gotta do it. And it was like a week away. And I don't know, I had no clue, nobody told me that you can't do it after exam week. But yeah, so I was in a time crunch a little bit there, but things turned out to be pretty well. Here's another clip. Her name's Eva Anderson, and she's doing another spoken word poem.
Dear mortal, evil of an angel, I'm just hurt that you don't have faith in me. You think my self-control is a unicorn, my sanity, the Loch Ness monster, my honesty, a healthy meal at McDonald's. You've been hospitalized more than me. You haven't had to sneak medical supplies out of your house because, or had my blood on your hands because I cut deep enough that it won't stop bleeding hours later. You've never had to take me to a counselor or watch me fall apart. Sure, one time I about dying. One time, I was picturing shoving that knife in my gut, spreading myself open like a tortured death in my heart, and I didn't tell you. But I didn't tell anyone. Because when people just thought I was suicidal, things turned to shit. So imagine what would happen if I was actually thinking about it. And I guess you proved me right on that. But then you do the same thing, and I can trust you completely. I've grown accustomed to falling apart around me. Maybe that's why it hurts so much when you can't handle me doing the same. Because you're the one who wants to be Atlas. But the weight of your world falls squarely on me. Not because there's too much to hold, but because instead of telling me things when they happen, so the weight falls down like drops of rain, pains and you start loading it on me all at once. Pains and worries, crashing down like an asteroid, rearranging everything I thought I knew. I cannot drop one snowflake of my own burden on you, because in nature, you always pick flight over fighting, so fly away, my angel. I'm not worth much to you anyway.
Okay. When it came down to it, like I said, I was barely prepared, but I was supported. You know, I'm standing up here alone, but I had support. I had Emily Panko there, and I had Dina there, and Mr. Schimborn supported me by sharing it on Facebook, and it was really packed. Like, I walked in there, I didn't even have a place to sit. It was humid. I didn't know what to do. You know? I went outside to smoke a cigarette. Then I felt even more lightheaded. And I didn't know what to do. Then they called me on stage, and yeah, I walked up there. By the way, you guys are mostly all 18, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. This is a little explicit. Kai was a little explicit.
That was a lot of expense.
Brown roots atop platinum blonde tails, and smart girls bore the hell out of me, with my visions of their nurse clothes and black-rimmed pressing glasses. And goth girls bore the hell out of me, with their quiet, fake poet composure and automatic leg openings. And I bore the hell out of me, with my simple plaid shirts and same grunge taste of similar key music. The only exception is the banging of guns in my backyard, followed by sex in the shallow shadows of clubs. Or perhaps, movie like love with a Scorpio senior heart, accompanied by discovery of infertility. And maybe school bus skips going to some house with 3 shots of vodka left in the cabinet. But my body is here, somehow coexisting with a stagnant heart in similar plaids and bands. Let's go to New York, maybe, or San Francisco, and then possibly San Diego. In the essence of my dreams, I lie there with a scorpion heart and 3 shots of vodka on my nightstand, waiting to accompany me.
The girl screamed after that one. I wish it was in the recording. Okay, so there's some of you guys, I know you don't really care about this. So I'm going to explain why it matters. A passion for something like writing is not something you can escape. It like comes at you, and when you're little, you're like, hey, I'm going to write a story, and you start writing a story, and you can't explain why you really like writing it. It might be that way for some people who play sports. You know, you feel like you're not being productive when you're not playing sports. You're not outside, you're not, you know, you just feel terrible about yourself. So, what made me want to do this reading was something my mentor talked to me about. He said he would get wasted and go to this place in Grand Rapids called the Rusty Nail. Well, they do open mic nights there, and he would just belligerently read poetry, and I was like, well, I would like to do that one day, but unfortunately I couldn't do wasted. But yeah, I wanted to do a poetry reading, and I wanted to have friends beside me. This is a picture of Jack Kerouac and the Beatnik Crew. I don't know if you guys know the novel On the Road. So yeah, that's Jack Kerouac right here. He's one of the leading novelists of basically, I don't know, like the 60s. And Allen Ginsberg, Neil Cassidy, they all were like best friends. They travel all across the US. They write with each other. They make poems with each other. And they just fed off each other in that way, and they got really famous. It was like a staircase, like they'd use each other to get more and more and more famous. I hope one day, maybe when CMU starts back up again, I could do open mic nights a lot more, but yeah, I would like to become famous. It's my dream to become a professor, and yeah, I would love to redo the open mic thing. The write first, look later method is something that my mentor taught me. It's like writing, but not writing about anything. Like the cat in the hat sat on the grass. Something like that. See, that's the start of a poem. Anybody can write a poem. Being a writer, words are not in your control. Anybody can be a writer. You know, there's certain emotions that you can't explain, and there's certain things that you can't explain, and you're just like, I don't know if you're walking along, and like, you got this word stuck in your head, and you're just like, man, this word's stuck in my head. I really like this word, but I don't know why it's there. It's because it's your genius talking to you. Elizabeth Gilbert will explain this. She's the writer of Eat, Pray, Love.
People did not happen to believe that creativity came from human beings back then, okay? People believed that creativity was this divine attendant spirit that came to human beings from some distant and unknowable source for distant and unknowable reasons. The Greeks famously called these divine attendant spirits of creativity daemons. Socrates famously believed that he had a daemon who spoke wisdom to him from afar. The Romans had the same idea, but they called that sort of disembodied creative spirit a genius, which is great, because the Romans did not actually think that a genius was a particularly clever individual. They believed that a genius was this sort of magical divine entity who was believed to literally live in the walls of an artist's studio, kind of like Dobby, the house elf, and who would come out and sort of invisibly assist the artist with their work and would shape.
Yeah, explanation of what a genius is. I mean, you're a genius, I'm a genius, we've all done things that we're like, whoa, what the hell was that? That was awesome. How about your subconscious? If you don't believe in spirits coming down and speaking and whispering in your ear, your subconscious is very interesting. A lot of people use like drugs to get to their subconscious and then write about it, like Pink Floyd. But you can literally tap into your subconscious when you're writing and you're like, the cat in hat sat, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is just a stream of your mind's thoughts, but it reveals really what you've been thinking about lately. And it'll like paint a picture. It's kind of like abstract art, except writing. That's how I write my poems. Supporting other writers. This is very important. So like, even if you're not a writer, support somebody who's written something, a poem, simple poem. They'll show you, they'll be like, hey, do you like this? You should at least critique them instead of saying, oh, this is retarded. I had a friend named Brendan. He was also a poet, but he was like A.B. sort of guy, like love poem sort of guy. And he would always tell me, he's like, this doesn't rhyme, this sucks, you are terrible. And I was like, thanks, dude. It was not very good on my writing. I call this writing dysphoria, which is the state of being incredibly sad about something. So, tips. Accept the work for what it is. For writers, write from language, not towards it. You can pick, like, I believe things are controlled by fate, so sometimes I write poems and I just open a huge dictionary, and point my finger, and whatever my finger lands on, that's what I put in the poem. My goal for this project was sharing my poetry along with others' poetry. Except for, don't be Brennan. Okay, conclusion. What I love most about this project is the fact that it was mutual. I could help others as they help me. And they all said that they had a great night. We stayed after Kaya, after the poetry reading, we all were like talking super freaking loud in a circle. We were like yelling across at each other, having like 5 different conversations. It was great. I got home at 11 at night eventually. But here's Bridget Deepstra's spoken word poem. Unfortunately, I didn't record all the poetry, but here's another good one.
I know she means well, but when her expectations are as high as the Sears Tower, and when she doesn't respect me as another cognitive being, or when my anxiety is a choice, when she thinks that seeing the world in a different light would make my depression disappear in a puff of her beanstalk, when my panic attacks are temper tantrums, it makes it a bit hard to let her into the being that is me, so I cut her off. And all of my friends are going through hell, and I don't want to be the straw that breaks their back because I know they're wearing braces as it is. They don't need my problems. They don't need my pain too. They don't need me. So I cut them off too. And I can see why they worry. I'm unstable and prone to breaking, and my track record, well, it's less than clean. I've done nothing but scream at a wall for hours, asking for my dad to come home. I don't believe in God, I believe in nothingness. I believe that all that Ellie did was embarrass me in front of my dog. I was so angry, but I couldn't be angry at anyone. I couldn't be angry at a deity, because obviously I don't believe in one. I couldn't be angry at my dad, because obviously he didn't want to have a heart attack and collapse and leave his 5-year-old son, his wife, and his sunshine. I couldn't be angry at myself, because I wasn't even there. I couldn't be angry at my brother, who was, because he was 5. By crying, he was doing the best he could. I can't be angry at my friends for not getting it, because as frustrating as that is sometimes, I don't want them to understand. I can't be angry at the universe, because hell, it was just doing its job. Because that's reality. People die. My dad was just one of them. And no matter how long I glorify him, no matter how long I think he's my Superman, he can't be. Because his kryptonite was heart disease, and 20 years with a cigarette butt lodged gracefully as it could be between his 2 fingertips. At the beginning, I honestly thought that the death of my father hadn't affected me, but I guess I showed me, huh? Because what I'm good at is forgetting. It's when I get worked up that I remember, and though through remembrance my dad lives on, it is through forgetting that I find solace, so please, stop asking me how I'm doing. That's the end.
Alrighty, that was my presentation. Thank you.
I had to resist the urge to clap at the presentations that were in the Kaya. That was really well done. Questions or comments for him?
Some good poems in there.
What?
There's some good poems in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not even writing, but I like that.
That's just the day we're starting. Into our subconscious.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the subconscious and
What advice do you have for people? Because I know that you were very nervous about, I think, just about everything to do with this project. From doing the poetry to then making it live at Kaya to getting people around, even coming to give your presentation to us today. You were very nervous. What kind of advice would you give people now that you've kind of come full circle on this?
Don't prepare, just jump in.
Just jump in.
At first.
Tell why.
Because if you prepare, you will screw up. And, well, it's my pet peeve. I don't like screwing up. I don't like going up there and being like, oh my God, I forgot a line. You know? That's why I'm not good at acting. When you focus on memorization, you lose the moment. And that's what I live for, poetry and moments.
You did good.
Just a quick comment, Henry. It sounds like you're influenced by a lot of romantic poets.
Yeah.
A lot of the just feeling and not thinking, just feeling. So.